Hello and welcome to The Happy Goddess. How are you? Now, I am not going to waste any time. Y'all don't forget to hit that like, comment below, and subscribe. Wait a minute. Congratulations. It's in order. We have hit past 300 subscribers. Okay. Welcome to the Soul Tribe. Okay. So that means next week we will be having a live to celebrate the 300 subscribers, and we will be giving away 2 pink protection fixed candles. Okay. So that will be something that will be given away. And I think the owner actually has like one more item that he does want to, give away as well. But he hasn't told me about it yet. But I guess we'll get into that, Okay. So y'all, let's get into this. Would you still leave an ex? For Marie Laveau, if you knew these details. This is the darker side of Marie Laveau, the Voodoo Queen. That's right. Once Marie and her second man, Louis, became a couple, they bought and sold 8 slaves. Now, like most other slave owners of their time, they bought slaves, kept them for a little while, and then sold them, often at a profit. Now, virtually all well-to-do New Orleans, including free people of color, owned slaves, okay? Marie Laveau was no exception. Between 1828 and 1854, Laveau and her man Louis bought and sold 8 slaves. Marie herself sold a woman and her child in 1838 and sold another woman in 1849. Now, Louise, like many people of that time, was speculating in stocks and money lending and real estate. Never a particularly astute businessman. He wasn't good at it. He was deeply in debt by the late 1840s. He sold one slave in 1849 under severe pressure from the Citizens Bank of Louisiana. In 1850, he sold 2 more slaves to a family friend, Philippe Ross, a free man of color, a slave to the family friend of Pierre Monanet, and he sold yet another to slave trader Cresswell. Now, Louise died on June 26, 1855. The St. Anne Street cottage, which was in his name, was seized and sold at a sheriff's auction to satisfy his debts to his creditors. Now, fortunately, a family friend came to the rescue and bought the house and generously allowed Marie Laveau, her daughters, her grandchildren to remain in residence. Now, with Louis' death, Marie not only lost her beloved companion, she lost her family. She and her family were plunged into financial crisis from which they never fully recovered. The popular notion that Marie Laveau derived great wealth from her voodoo practice is refuted by the increasing poverty in which the Laveau and Louis' household lived for the rest of the 19th century. Now, Marie Laveau's physical condition towards the end of her life is verified by, several sources. In 1873, a justice of the peace came to the family home to take her testimony related to the succession of family friend Pierre, who had died the previous year. At that time, Marie stated that she was about 70 years old. She said, "I am sick for some time past. I am too sick to leave my room and cannot walk." Now, in 1875, a daily reporter called at the, Laveau, Lewis, cottage. There he found Marie, the ancient queen, who he described as once a tall, powerful woman, now bent with age and infirmity. Infirmity. Her complexion was a dark bronze. Now, this is the hint of description now. Her complexion was a dark bronze. So these pictures that are circulating around that say she was of this fair skin, almost a white woman and cream color, might be false. Because here it says she is a woman of dark bronze and her hair grizzly black, while her trembling hands were supported by a crooked stick. Some of the community elders interviewed by the Louisiana Writer Project described Marie as a wrinkled, shriveled up lady with snow white hair who looked like a witch and was so old she could hardly walk. She is thought to have studied under. Now, this is where the second part comes in. So the first part is she did own slaves. Now, the second part of it is she is thought to have studied under the heavily tattooed fortune-telling Voodoo king, Dr. John, also known as Bayou John or Prince John, a student of the Free Santo Dominica, spiritual leader, Didi, who is regarded as a New Orleans' very first voodoo queen and reigned supreme from 1822 to 1830 before Laveau asserted her position. The calculating Marie Laveau also apprenticed under a Congolese spiritual worker and voodoo queen in her own right, who was known as a hex breaker, Marie Salope. Working alongside the more experienced voodoo queen at important Midsummer St. John's Eve ceremonies until hungry for power, Laveau allegedly hexed her teacher. Yeah, you heard me right. Marie Laveau hexed her very own teacher. Not only did she hex her teacher, allegedly, but Marie drove the older woman insane. During her training, Laveau had supported herself by working as a hairdresser for, society's social elite, developing a dedicated clientele who valued her knowledge as well as her hairstyling prowess. Now free to take control of the other woman's clients as well, Marie Laveau rose to prominence in 1830, lining her pockets by selling grisgris, and her own legend became. She became famous for her elaborate public voodoo rituals and was thought to hold a frightening amount of sway over the city elite. So Marie was very known for some cunning, manipulative, trickster kind of ways of getting the competition out the way for her to be queen. When she heard of another woman, putting a statue in front of her yard, Marie requested that, this queen and this up and coming voodoo lady had put her own statue in her yard and was starting to gain starting to gain clients. Marie did not like that. Marie reported her to the cops. Yes, and was trying to get the statue removed and, get her chased out of town. But it didn't work. The lady was not budging. But Marie was not quitting. And her statue went missing. So, in the end, with all of the things that Marie did, she ended up broke. She ended up not having that money. All of this, hexing her teacher and, chasing other women out of the town and, upsetting other queens and stuff and all of that. And the man that she got with wasn't a great business guy. And by the time he passed and she got old, he left her in debt. They were in debt. They were struggling. And you know what? They say, how you live, how you live sometimes can, really, all these hexing and all these, doing things to the competition, selling slaves. She ended up in debt, not even owning her mother's home. Her mother's home, her man, Luis, bought her mother's home. And then he became in debt. And the house, when he died, it had to be sold. And in the end, she didn't own the place she lived in. So she did all of these things. Was it worth it? Because in the end, she ended up not even practicing voodoo anymore and actually was just practicing Catholicism or something like Catholic. And she turned her Catholic faith towards the end. Many believe it because, possibly somebody might have hexed her or possibly put something or possibly, all the things that she did in the end, maybe she had a change of heart and she left the voodoo behind. And in the end, she turned to her, Catholicism in the end. So y'all tell me what y'all think. Would you still put that X on her property? Would you still put that X on that tomb, knowing that she hexed her own teacher to get ahead, and she wasn't above doing certain things to get ahead? And you know what they say about if you have the way you get it is the way you keep it. And in the end, she lost it. So would you still leave that X for Marie Laveau, knowing what you know? All right, y'all. Thank you for watching, okay?